if Diddy gets acquitted, he gonna be gone. The country. With Russell Simmons, and Russell Simmons, absolutely. Because he's thinking like, damn, Russ, why didn't you take me with you? Russ is like, I tried to.
But he tried last minute to go overseas, right? Remember he was leaving, but they were able to get him.
Was that verified? I know he was in a plane. I think they brought it down, but did they verify that he was on his way overseas?
That part I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that would have been such a stupid move.
Russell got away with it. I mean,
well, Russell did it, I think, before. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I think he did it before there was ever even like actually had to happen. Never been like state charges or any kind of criminal charges brought against Russell. Yeah, he did. So like, the kind of hot water that puts an attorney in when your client, like if you're like, I just imagine this, I've never experienced it before. When your client, and I know they're criminals, so I probably wouldn't experience it. But if your client, you can imagine like your client all of a sudden like can't be found, escapes, and it's like, yo, like where the fuck? You can imagine like a federal judge like, yo, where the fuck is he? And why don't you know where he is? Like you just don't want to deal with that as an attorney. It would just be so ugly. So you're instructing your client like, please do not leave the fucking country. Whatever you do not leave the fucking country.
I get you, Black Freedom, but here is Diddy's window.
He was leaving when they ran up and took his house. You forgot.
So this is what I would say. Like, this is Diddy's window because this man, he's so arrogant. See, he didn't think. Okay, so first of all, none of us knew that Cassie sent him her notes, like her book. Whenever she wrote when she was in therapy, it was like, hey Sean, I know we're not together, but could you please read this? Because I just really want you to know what I'm going to do with you. I really want you to understand, right? Like, fuck you, Cassie, I ain't reading shit, okay? So, from that moment, and then she comes with the lawsuit, and he's like, oh shit, let me settle this in 24 hours, right? From the moment that Tony Busby said, hey everybody, I'm opening a hotline for any of you who are, have complaints and so on. So now you're Diddy, you know what you did. You know what you have done in your life. So even if you thought you might pile up simple lawsuits like you have, because he has 80, you know at least half of the shit that you have done is criminal. And just to be on the general safe side, you should have gotten your ass up and out and Molly with Russell Simmons before there were ever any charges filed. That's his arrogance that I'm talking about. Because it was time. It didn't happen in days and hours.
That's right. And your client can ultimately do what the fuck ever they want to do. And you're left in. So, yeah, I agree with that.
They're like, no, we are daddies. I mean, I'm just saying, like, and he, to be honest, he could have plausible deniability. He could just be like, look, I went through a lot, that was embarrassing. When the tape came out, I had to apologize publicly. I never wanted that tape to come out. I just wanted to get out of here and clear my head because there were no charges filed. You know what I mean? And then you could be like, well, I didn't know there were any charges filed, but now that there's charges filed, I just kind of feel like I'm not going to get a fair trial. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you could do like, what's his name? Who leaked the White House, the government paper, Julius? Yeah.
I think it's Snowden.
Both of them. Who and Julius Sergeant Edward Snowden would be like, I don't think I'm gonna get a fair trial. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, if you know you're in your 50s, you know what I mean, and you know you ain't trying to give a day in jail.
It's too late for all that, though. I mean, he had
It is.
time charges paid. They was tracking his private plane and all that. Like they were on the phaser, not like the state.
I said he was chasing to some of the airport.
I think he's gonna end up doing some time though. I don't think he's gonna walk away with this plea. I believe it was a Gemini who said it. Like, I think the Mann Act is I think that's clear. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing for the defense to get over. Consent or no consent, right? Like, you don't need coercion for the Mann Act.
And I did not know that. That right there is deep, because Cowboys and Angels, they say you're paying for your time. It doesn't matter what you do. You can go horseback riding, play games, just talk to them. Like, it's not explicit that you have to have sex.
Yes, we got a lot of prostitutes get away with it. You're paying for my time, you're paying for my companionship. We so happen to connect sexually. That's just us. Jim, that makes a great point. Like, it's the intent, right? So it doesn't have to be anything completed. Like, if the intent is, I am purchasing your services, your sexual services, you're traveling from one thing to another. Even if you don't engage in those services, the intent was for you to do so. So the mens rea, as we like to say, of all the criminal mind was there when you made the transaction.
And you know what? Now I'm realizing that even though they talked about the sex a lot, that's why they made the jurors watch 2 tapes. So that they can see from beginning to end how this goes down. Remember, they started off just with the request and the text messages to Cassie, to Daphne Joy, you know what I mean? And then the text messages from KK, the travel plans, you know what I mean? All of that stuff, and then it ends with the tape. Because I was like, y'all really making the jurors watch porn? Like, really? You really doing this? Oh my God.
That is crazy, right?
And were y'all here when we talked about, like, their reactions? Because basically it was reported that all the men were, like, militant. And that some of the women...
They want to be prepared for trial.
Hey, yeah, I know. They just doing their work. They just doing their homework. They're being good jurors. But some of the women have, like, turned away. Some people took off their earphones. And they're the only people that can see and hear. Well, they're supposed to be the only people that can see and hear the freak-off tapes. But because some of them took off their headphones because they didn't, like, a little too much, you could, people in the courtroom could hear a little bit coming out of the headphones. Ciao. Turned the United States upside down, so maybe things changed out there. But I mean, so how do you, like, let me ask y'all this question, because I really do feel like, our community, it's not just our community, but I'm just going to say, I really do believe that our community has been harmed by this case. How do you feel like we should process or help people or help ourselves, like deal with kind of like the fallout of this case?
Because you're talking about that, Dr. AG, like, so the way I'm thinking about it is obviously the harm of the members of our community, right? Like, black folks who are actually involved in these freak-offs, the emotional manipulation, all that stuff. But as a clarifying question, are you talking about culturally? Just curious about what your thoughts are when you ask that question.
Yeah, I feel like we've been culturally harmed. I feel like we've been harmed gender-wise, in terms like even like so many of the arguments and the like disagreements that have happened on Clubhouse. It was in the news. You know, this national discussion. Like this is like I'm furious with Diddy. You know what I mean. And at the same time, I'm like, I guess this just had to happen. But I hate that it is happening without a cure, right? Because him being sent away is not. That's just like I guess you could say that's a part of it, but I just feel like you're leaving us out here wrong, and like it sounds like we all need some type of group counseling, like because I just don't think that like we expected this to go down this way, and he is. I mean, you know, like he is a cultural icon. You know, when I was in a room and, you know, there was a couple of people who had, they either, they didn't work direct, sort of, I mean, and one of them worked for a Diddy company, but didn't work with Diddy, if that makes any sense. And then another one had a relative who did work with Diddy, and or who was like a part of the family or whatever. Like, it's just, what do I want to say about them? Sorry, I went blank for a second.
I got it. You know I love that. I went through so much real shit in my life that I'm more worried about stepping in dog shit, like group counseling for Puffy. Did it?
It's for us.
He did not expect me emotionally, physically, mentally, on any level. And one thing we have to do is stop, and I learned this early on, man. That's why I'm responding. That's why I don't look at any celebrity like that. No celebrity will ever have any impact on my life in that way. Not unless I'm in close proximity to them and I actually communicate with them directly. And there is no, like, I'm not thinking about sleeping on my nipples. I'm not. None of this. I'm just not. You know, you don't do it to me. I don't know. I'll keep my mic.
No, I don't think it's because he's a celebrity. I don't mean like that. Although, I mean, a part of it I do just because. But that's right. That's what I want to say. The person who had relatives or worked, you know, his company, whatever. He was saying that Diddy hired thousands of black folks in particular. You know, and I never saw him that way. And I was just like, really interesting. Like, you know, I never imagined like thousands. But I mean, that's what he said. Now, maybe he was exaggerating. But all I'm saying is that, and maybe it's also because I'm a woman, Gemini, I will say this, and also because I have dated a narcissist, and they are harmful people, right? That I have been triggered by this trial. And I'm like, I got flashbacks, I'm having memories, and then also just in these fucking clubhouse rooms, like all the people, like y'all are more advanced, but I'm just gonna say, I know that you ain't perverted. Like, men and women. Like, fuck that bitch. Just that money hungry ass bitch. She deserves everything she got. She did the hoe ass. I mean, and I'm just thinking to myself, really?
I done been in a room where it was just me and a bunch of dudes that thought like that, and I was surprised it was that many dudes that thought like that. Fact.
That's what I'm saying. And on Clubhouse, there's, you know, literally, we speak to like thousands of people a day. And I'm just like, y'all really believe, you really feel that way? And it's just kind of like, and I'm like, I don't think that I would make the same mistakes as Cassie. But like, I've been 19 before. I was 27 when I met my first narcissist, and he like almost ruined my life. I'm so glad that I made the decision that I made, but if you talk to my friends for a certain period of time, they're like, oh my God, I remember that phase. I'm so glad you're over it. Like, why do people think that we're supposed to just like inherently know all the manipulation tactics, all the coercion tactics, all the lies? Like, there was another room. I don't know if y'all heard the Plan B. They had a room. It was a good room, but it was should we hold men accountable for selling women dreams? I thought it was a great question. You know, but people went off. They were like, no, you need to know that. You need to know. And I was like, at what age? I mean, what are y'all talking about? Like, at what age are you supposed to know that a person that's like, if you meet somebody as a teenager, you're supposed to know that they're lying? Like, how? I mean, I'm just saying, like, other than, I guess you can say, like, your instincts might tell you something. Then you might know, like, something that's not adding up or whatever, but they just blame the victim wholeheartedly. And it got to the point where they blamed the men, too. So we talking about Cardi B in that room, and under that question. And so one of the women was like, well, wait a minute, like, were the men that Cardi B robbed, drugged and robbed, were they victims? And the men were like, no, they were like, no, he wasn't a fucking victim. You gotta know that. And I was just like, what are you doing? If you go to a strip club and you want to be a stripper, like that means that it's okay for you to be drugged and robbed? Are you out of your mind? I was yelling at them at the top of my lungs, like, what are y'all talking about? I'm just saying, we're not good at this abuse thing. We're not good at this empathy thing. We've got a lot of understanding in our community. We down bad. That's how we're down bad. We're down bad. And like mainstream, like when this case is over, ain't nothing mainstream America's going to do to lift us up or to try to heal us or anything like that. In fact, we're going right on to gay bashing abuse because now Tyler Perry got a lawsuit against him. That's just what I mean.
I don't really care about like Tyler Perry on the gay side. I don't think that was a big negative issue. I think it was more about him as a president, and then if he's actually being predatory. I haven't heard somebody like, I can't believe he, like, I think we already made his name dressing as a woman. That literally was his claim to fame. Like, that's how he became known. Like, we all know Medea. So where's the surprise there? I think it's the predatory nature of these things. Like, even if Diddy had came out as gay, I don't think people really cared about being gay. I think it was more about suppressing it and then using a third party. Now he got Cassie running back with deposit semen on his nipples. It's like, I mean, that's the facts, bro. You know, so I think that aspect is more shocking than if Diddy would have came out as gay. I think there was some pushback because of the alpha nature of the hip-hop culture up front. There's never been a real popular out gay rapper that everybody knows is a gay rapper. So I think that would be an issue. But I don't think people care about Tyler Perry like that as far as the gay side of it. I think it's the predators that are really getting pushed back. People are more open-minded nowadays.
like they've learned some lessons, their eyes are open, something. Because Diddy's example is extreme, right? It's very extreme. You're not going to be constantly flued out to tropical places, and you're not going to always be in the Trump Tower. Speaking of, remember what Daphne, this is not funny, but this is just like,
You know, that's before they talk about it. Okay, though.
I know, because it's so diabolical what he would be doing, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, because this was like the second time he told her, like, no, she's gonna be dead, you know what I mean? And then she said she pulled up, in the vehicle, and she happened to know that she was outside of Trump Tower. She happened to look up and she saw a room, and there was red lights coming out. And she knew that it was her room. Like, that is just, I mean, I'm just like, Diddy, you're wild as hell. You ain't care at all. You ain't care. You was like, listen, I'm gonna get these free cops. I just, I think, maybe I'm laughing because I'm just like, I thought I heard it all, you know what I mean? And then it's just like, I did not, you have not heard it all. One of the podcasters that I listened to, she was saying that, like, so much of what Diddy has done is like, it's very close to our real relationships. And that's why a lot of people, like, they couldn't see the Rico. They literally cannot see the Rico because of, what they've done in their personal lives and or being obsessed with movies and television and just like not being in touch with reality.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When people say that they don't feel like I don't get upset, but I get upset when they start talking about victim. But I don't get upset when they say that. It's the same people hide their uncles, hide their family members that do things like this. So I don't take it personal when they side. And it's like, you don't even protect your own. So why would you even care about any of these things? That's not your family, that's not your home, right? If you don't even protect your own.
So what would have made this, what's the difference between a free girl and a Rico?
Rico.
Not a free cousin.
You got to put it on the show. Oh, God. I wasn't right.
I'm trying to understand this. So, what's the difference?
It's individualized. You know what, Gemini? I'm actually,
Did you say a free go would be not involving no employees, just you being the head of it, like you planning everything out yourself, not involving any employees, and then you just hiring those workers and then letting those women know letting the women know on a contract what they're going to be doing? Would that be considered a free go?
Yeah, because I'm paying them to perform sex acts.
Yeah.
So,
But he's paying both parties, right? Because he's paying the men and the women.
You're paying us to your family, to prostitutes.
Oh, I'm trying to see what's the free go, not a Rico.
Yeah, what's the free go?
But that's what we were saying. That like he did not like. I don't know who said it. I thought it was I don't know who said it. But earlier in the room, somebody said, if all he wanted was like a sexual partner, you could have easily hired a prostitute to do those things. You had no problem hiring a male prostitute. You could have hired a female prostitute as well.
That's wrong. I'm trying to figure out how to do this without any criminal elements.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Just thinking you can hire a prostitute. Let's be in Clark County. That's the crime. So how do we do the free code couple.
You just have so you attend swingers parties. You have swingers parties.
So if you pick them up in the swingers location, or a question, there's a website called seekingarrangements.com. Still active to this day. You clearly know those are sugar daddies that are looking for sugar babies, right? And they're paying them, whether it's for a companion, whether it's whatever they're paying them for. Would you say that that website is legal, or would that also fall under
That's borderline. That's
very
borderline.
the way it can't be legal, and this is the way you get around it, is if I'm allowed to charge you for my time, right? I'm a companion. I am here to hang out, conversate, and just have a good time in general, not sex. Now, if I feel so inclined, we may become sexual, we may not. That's not included in my services. That's personal preference. That's how they get around that. You see what I'm saying? Because now you just can't find anything happening in addition to that, which is completely adults.
So he could have done that.
Those contracts.
So literally, Diddy could have put a profile on that website, or he could have just went to, where is he? What, Vegas?
Vegas, yeah.
He could have opened up a brothel. I'm sure Lamar Odom would have loved to be his manager.
Yeah.
And he could have just, the way that brothel had, that when you show up there, they will line 50 beautiful women up and say, hey, which one you want? And you will go back to bed with that one. But I don't think that's what he wanted, because he had the money and the power to do that, right? To open up these businesses. So I don't think he wanted to do that.
But then
It wasn't fun. It wouldn't be fun for him. It wouldn't, give him.
No, he definitely wanted the humiliation, the control. He wanted all of that. But okay, so I'll answer your question. How do you get the free go without the free go? There are swingers. Like swingers should just get together and have a good time. Why can't you do that?
That would be right. They do, right? They got a location to do that, but that would be what he was looking for. He was looking for something where he could basically be a voyeur and select good-looking individuals that he can control and perform sex acts for his pleasure. That's what he was looking for. Swingers are, my wife was you want her, his wife.
Right.
Together, all consistently engaging in sexual.
So then he should have been a director for porn. He should have opened up Bad Boys Porn.
Bad Boys Porn. And then,
Yeah.
I would have made a lot of money.
Yeah.
You have control. You get to pick the women. This is who you're going to sleep with. This is the type of scene I want to see. And sometimes I want to turn off. But he would have been in control. And it still would have been legal. Wherever he chooses to do that. Obviously, he wouldn't be able to do that in New York. I don't think a brothel was
You
there.
should be a business consultant. You just solve these problems. That's what the porn is. What you can do. It's great.
Bad boy porn. That's exactly correct.
Kanye said he wanted to do a porno company for a little bit, and then he just
And I'm telling you, what he felt today, I don't think he understands this, but there are so many women that you don't even gotta pressure them. You ain't even gotta beat them to do this. They will be okay from the jump. You don't have to bribe them, you don't have to do nothing.
Barter is right. Snoop did this already. Snoop had a whole porn.
Yeah, and his wife was involved with it too.
But he wasn't in the porn. He was just there.
Are you talking about what he did where he partnered with Girls Gone Wild?
No, I'm talking about the porn where he was walking around. It was him. He was in the porn, but he wasn't in the porn. He was just like Snoop Dogg presents type of deal. So
Yeah, but his wife was involved too. Like she was in the mix too.
the same as the Players Club that they got downtown right now.
Yes.
They got a strip club here right now.
Yeah.
his wife. But yeah, this is already nobody is fucking back.
It was from this case that I found out. I stumbled upon a video. I had no idea. I thought Snoop flirting with pimping, but I had no idea that he said he quote unquote left his marriage for 2 years to become a pimp, to actually become a pimp.
He did. He actually pimped, but then he was falling in love with his host, according to him.
Yeah, that's when he was like, I messed up, I fell in love. And I'm like, because pimping is not easy. And you shouldn't be out here fucking pimping. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with these dudes?
He was around Bishop Don Juan for a while. He was telling him,
I was about to say, and he said that Bishop Magic Juan told him, don't do it.
He did.
And he's like, but I just had to because I grew up admiring. I'm like, so being Snoop Dogg, that's not enough for you.
You know what? Like the grass is always greener until it ain't. You know what I mean? So he had to put his hand out there and try it.
I mean, listen, y'all would say, not as crazy as hell. If I said y'all listen,
say that, Eddie.
Y'all know this is true, but let me shape my scenario. If you found out that I was like, listen, y'all, I have always admired Maya Angelou, okay? And I know she got down when she was younger. I mean, Maya Angelou used to be a madam. I wanted to find my poetic voice. And I needed to understand just, what it would be like to be a black woman in the 21st century as opposed to the 20th. So I decided to become a madam. I mean, y'all would be like, are you serious?
You'd be
like,
surprised how many people on Clubhouse will support you.
I'm telling you, you know how many women you have lined up?
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm so mad. Dude, look, I mean, look.
You see how it is? You try to support somebody in the clubhouse, they get mad.
I'm like, Dr. Brown is Flex, may I help you? Yes, we are sponsored by Gemini Cannabis as well as Shopping. Oh my God. Oh my God. What'd you say?
Yeah,
No, you're too loud.
that would open up a new distribution channel for you as well.
I wouldn't say no, but yeah. Additional. How about that?
Oh my God. See, Gemini throwing out his secret. I mean, like, it's just, I mean, I'm just, I mean, come on, like, look, it's not enough for you to be in one of the top rap groups in the entire world. It's not enough for you to have defeated one of the biggest assholes in one of the top groups in the world, meaning Snoop conquered Suge Knight. It's not enough for you to have been friends with and affiliated with and still making money off of one of the greatest rappers ever known, Tupac Shakur. It's not enough for you to have been in one of the biggest rap groups. Like, you did all that. You traveled the world. You stuck with your high school girlfriend, who also let you roam. Like, you are he's got to be close. I don't know what his network is, but he's got to be not, approaching that millionaire status. But it's like, you done been with Martha Stewart. You made television shows. You're looked upon as such an icon that even you playing golf is not seen as like a little shady. Not that it is. I'm just saying. Just remember that commercial. You did all of that, and you are still not fulfilled until you can become an actual pimp.
And not even that would be fulfilling enough. The problem with them when you get to a certain stature is you always want more, right? More is, unless you do deep personal one, it would bubble.
Yeah, that's what I put. I remember when they had asked one of us, and obviously he's changed because he's stepping away. They had asked him, he was late in his career this morning, how much money would be enough for him to actually fall back and stop investing and so on and so forth. And he said the answer will always be just a little bit more than I have now. I think it's a mindset.
Well, and it's an addiction, right?
Yeah.
And that addiction, so the paradox is that addiction is a big reason for your success.
Right. I don't know if it's an addiction. It can be a mindset. It can be an addiction. It can be both. The mindset can create the addiction. But I think that, like you said, that's why they're so successful. They could have stopped when they had enough money to last a lifetime. Right? Their investments were solid. Their portfolio was solid. I know for sure I can sustain myself financially living at the same level I'm at now as far as lifestyle goes. Indefinite. Right? Why do they keep going? Why would you go for? Why would you want to get to 2 billion when you're already at $1 billion? You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with that. I mean, I think it's what CEO was saying. It's like a mindset change. Because I mean, I remember reading about something that I've forgotten recently. So I was watching a documentary on Bill Gates, the rise of Microsoft. I mean, I think you look at Bill Gates now with all of his philanthropic work as an idea of what a billionaire can do in terms of social impact. But I mean, I was listening to an interview from one of the guys who worked with him early in Microsoft, and the guy was stating that, I mean, while he was going through cancer, and he was wanting to know how many he overheard Bill Gates talking with another one of their partners about removing him from the company, and, and taking all this, and it was like, it almost killed him, and I was like, it's very difficult to imagine Bill Gates doing that now. I mean, those were some of the things that they did in the days when they were ruthless. So it's interesting.